Test.
My son went. Why did he leave again? Hey, we also changing the game with some other stuff too.
Okay.
Oh, you got it live right now?
Yeah, we live.
Okay. Hey, where you at? All right.
Now we got the biggest screen. Let's see. So we got Instagram or we got YouTube. Right now we on YouTube. Right here is Instagram. So I'm gonna go live on Instagram. All right. We back. We got cut out. So Instagram, good morning. We got Anthony Quillen from QCG Construction YouTube. We just hopped back in. But right now we're talking about 203K loans and how to pivot with this and how investors could get buyers in and how buyers can work with contractors to get in and build a property of their dreams. So the question that we got cut off on was, if I'm approved for, let's say, 300,000, when it comes down to the budget, what's the best way to have a conversation with you to get the most house that I can out of the budget that I have? Because if I'm approved for 300, that got to cover the purchase and the renovation.
So you gotta kind of sit down and figure out really what is a realization of what can you put into the house, like what's important. Like some people go into a house and say, I can live with that kitchen, I can just paint the cabinets, or I can paint half the house, I can do the flooring in the whole house. It depends on what the house truly needs and what's important. And then when you go through all that, then you have to figure out, okay, well, can I afford $8 square foot tile? Because every time somebody gets a price from a contractor, they just think it's all about the contractor's price, but it also relates to what the customer wants and what their needs are.
So who responsible for that strategy?
Really, the contractor is supposed to get them direction, but a lot of times us as contractors, we take the wheel. And sometimes when you speak up about that fact, it's like, look, I know you all worried about price, but you know, what are the finishes? What are your expectations?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like majority of subs and contractors, their costs are going to be about the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's all, well, depending on who's charging what percentage and whatnot, but for the most case, like everybody should be in line if they're a legit company.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are like, oh, my contractor's putting cabinets. They don't even know the grade. They don't ask if they're all wood, soft closed doors and drawers. I mean, it's, you know.
You still keep.
But yeah, I ask customers straight up, no matter what, you know, what's your budget. Sometimes they take it wrong. Sometimes they think I'm just trying to get, you know, trying to figure out what money they have.
And that's another thing too. So what I like about the whole organization is the transparency. So like, what is it about the numbers that y'all share that could kind of give the buyers assurance that, like, the numbers is the numbers and this is my fee? Like, there is no evil tweaking of the numbers in between that. So like, what about y'all estimates can they look forward to be like, all right, I mean, this is just the cost of the plywood. It is what it is, and this is what he like.
So we charge to put it in. I mean, when we go through a whole quote, we recently did one with a customer, for a pretty large project, and we kind of went through every single line item and said, okay, this is what all the line items mean. This is what the budget means. This is what the budget includes.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions? And look, sometimes we'll sit and we'll go through an estimate. It'll take 3 hours, but you got to go through the line items. People don't want to do that. Some people got to stop and read and find out. Don't just think, oh, look, they're gonna do all. Don't assume. Assumption's the worst part on both sides, contractor and consumer, because, you know, we might assume they understand everything and they're going to assume that we understand everything. And the next thing you know, you're in the middle of a project and then you got problems.
Yeah.
oh, I thought this, and oh, I thought that, you know.
Yeah.
So find out. I've legit seen somebody's perspective be, I'm getting marble tile, and the other side is where you're getting porcelain tile. You know, I mean, you got to talk about every single thing and make sure it's transparency in every single section, because if not, you're gonna have an issue.
Yeah.
And that's been the biggest problem, I think, with a lot of relationships between contractors and a consumer.
And they shouldn't be scared to not make decisions quick, because I think when people get engaged with general contractors, they feel like either I gotta hurry and make a decision so I can get on their schedule,
Yep.
Or I gotta hurry and make a decision because they're gonna think I'm wasting their time, especially if this is a referral. So if my best friend referred me to you, and me and my wife keep going back and forth on 3 different colors, you know, we may rush just to make a decision because we don't want to look bad to the person that referred to you. So I guess what you're saying is you giving the consumer permission to take as much time as they need to have a complete understanding of these line items. Because once that first draw check is out, game on.
Yeah. And like, look, it happens to us, and we're woke to this on a daily basis, and it still happens.
Yeah.
On misunderstandings, or, you know, assuming that one may think something. You know what I mean? So we have our meetings almost every single day to talk about this. And one of the biggest things that's helped us is making sure that we initial every line item too, to make sure that we went over it.
So you and a consumer?
Yes.
So I got a complete renovation with 200 line items, 200 initials.
We got initial every line item to know that
that's new. Okay.
We're not lost in nothing.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we're about to get in a 6-month relationship. I don't want to have an issue every week where, like, oh, I thought this, because it can happen like that. And even with us having this, we've had issues where
even with the initials,
still. And I guarantee you, every contractor, anybody listening to this has ever done contracting where you're gonna be like, that dude's not lying.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, so what's the gap? We could pause if you got a rule, but
yeah, give me one time.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello? Yes, sir. Okay, got this. All right. Getting lunch for everybody, huh?
We do dirty movement. I gotta make some rooms. Shit, always that. All right, we left off. We were talking about what is that gap in communication of why there's always a difference in what the consumer says and what the contractor heard, or what the consumer did not say and they thought they said. And here we are 3 months into the renovation, and there's a gap in understanding. What do you think from your experience where it normally comes from? Do they add stuff later that they thought, like, what?
That's a little bit of it, but a big part of it is transparency and each side assuming that the other one understands what's going to happen. And that's why I feel like going through every single line item and asking questions and having them initial and acknowledge that they read it. I had a customer one time in my office and was sitting at the conference table, and I mean, they were complaining the whole time. And right as soon as we started the job, they were confused already about something. It's just because they had no will to want to pay attention to what's going on. They were just worried about the end number and what they thought the job was going to consist of. They didn't care about, like, understanding the details.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, how many of us go and buy a car? Do we really read every single, word? We just go and start to sign and we roll out.
I just want to know what my note is.
So we kind of tame to that, to something like this. When somebody's in your house and they about to, wreck your place where you live, your comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you don't have stuff understood, your nerves are already gonna be bad because you're spending your money you've been saving up or you got a loan on.
Yeah.
It's your place that you're gonna be living at.
Yeah.
And everything's gonna be what you want it to be.
Yeah.
So there's so much emotions, and it's it's good just to do that and make sure that everything is right.
Right.
And I mean, most time, what we try to also educate customers now on is like, hey, these floors right here feel really soft. I can do an assumption bid where I'm gonna say, hey, this is what it could be, but it could still be off. You know what I mean?
How you mitigate the risk? So I always play worst case scenario whenever a contractor says anything like that. And as a consumer, not an investor, as a consumer, whenever somebody says that, especially during storms with roof estimates, like they're gonna give you one price, then they're gonna say, but I haven't seen the decking. So it could be this, but it could be that. But the train of thought of the consumer is always gonna be higher. Like it could be lower.
What I've learned to be a better contractor is when I'm walking the job, and I'm teaching my salespeople to do this too. Is like when you walk in the job and you know the decking could be bad. Now, if it's insurance, you should be able to supplement it and get that on the back end if it's legit. Everything's supposed to be legit.
I'm gonna pull in closer to Instagram.
But you definitely want to make sure that, like, when it comes time to, like, say for a consumer that's paying out of pocket, especially, they say, look, man, this roof bid is $10,000. If we got to replace a piece of decking, it's this much per decking. You know, sometimes in this bid, sometimes people include like 3 or 4 sheets of plywood with it and say, look, this bid includes up to 3 or 4 pieces of decking. But if not, it's like at least say $30 a sheet. You know, that's what you can expect. From me walking, it appears it could be 3 to 4, but it could be 10. So you need to let them know the budget for that, so they don't get surprised. Because some people might only have what you give them on a price for, like they're using their savings.
And I think that's where the consumer contractor relationship, or at least the stereotype, where
transparency.
If
customers be bad too, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. But with your shop does well as, number one, y'all have an office to come to. That's first and foremost. So if there is an issue, I'm not chasing anybody with just a phone call. Like I could come here, make an appointment, and have a sit down with staff members, with the manager, with the office personnel. So number one, visibility, and number two, transparency, I think is a competitive advantage for your organization already. Adding to that, based on what we're talking about right now, educating the consumer on the front end as much as possible, because these guys are busy. They don't have to have the job. That's good. Like y'all want it, and y'all want to do business with people that y'all want to do business with. Right. So
we want to work with people that understand transparency, and they respect it. They know where we're coming from. They don't, because I don't want to work with people that are unrealistic. You know, that don't respect when somebody's trying to do that.
What you think the difference with a consumer, the difference between realistic and being optimistic? Because I could
unrealistic.
So it could be an unrealistic aspect, but also being optimistic. Like, well, maybe I have this money, but maybe the seller might give me more, or maybe I could borrow money from my parents, or maybe borrow money from the 401k. So that could be optimistic. But like, what is unrealistic? How you define unrealistic to make sure anybody that calls you, like, I'm definitely not being unrealistic, but I could be positive about it.
You mean like how do I like kind of like siphon out the clients that could be unrealistic or problematic?
Yeah. With some indicators of
just like, when they start telling me what the price should be. You know, if a customer called me and says, "Man, I got eight bids," I don't want to deal with you. For what? Like you got 8 bids and you're still not happy? You don't waste 8 people's time. And that's not enough.
Yeah.
Lady called us about a week ago. I got about 8 bids. Okay. Bad thing to tell me, because we're not interested at this point.
Wow.
I just feel like that's somebody that just don't have any respect for some. That means that she heard 8 times something she didn't want to hear, which makes me special. You know what I mean? Like,
that's experience.
You know, I mean, I'm not gonna. Back in the day, I'd be like, oh yeah, well, I can be number 9. I think I can make it happen. And then I'll go and I'll be like, oh wow, after like 2 weeks of working and going back and forth, it means I'll figure out what happened with the other 8 people.
Yeah.
I mean, you're best at implementing your time in the right places and dealing with people that are realistic. I mean, that's what I learned in 17 years of doing this.
Yeah. And the 203K, so I want to go back to that because I think that's where the connection kind of dropped off at. So for the people that have the 203Ks, in your mind, what you think is the new opportunity that they overlooking?
there's a lot of properties out there that investors can't hit on right now because there's no margins. I'm an investor too, and Neil does invest, and we know
it's slim.
There's houses out there right now that people that are looking for homes, you can't find nothing you like. There's in every stage. I've seen them in the hundreds of $1,000 range, the $200,000 range, $300,000 range. We just did a bid on a house that's probably worth about 1.2 million when it's fixed. So the house is on the market for like 700 grand. They're going to do a renovation loan or whatever. So I mean, this is in every single market.
Yeah.
Anybody looking, and I think the problem is a lot of people bring contractors in there, and the contractors want to, oh yeah, you need to put hardy side, and no, you don't. That's 100 grand or whatever for that big old house, you know, that we looked at, and it's like, well, you just paint the siding and fix what's there, and it's fine. Yeah. So, being that we know the budget, we're able to educate the client, saying this is why it's okay. You don't have to spend this money, because if I go bid a big house at $700,000, my bid can easily be 500 grand if there's no direction in place. And what I mean is, by like, on an older house in New Orleans, you can replace all the wood side with hardy, but do you have to? You know, you can go in there and gut the whole house. This contractor said, let's gut the whole house. Why would you do that when all that trim in there is worth so much money? We could fix that trim up and keep that trim in there, and then all the doors that, you know, like, they're ripping all that stuff out and putting in dumpsters for what?
Yeah.
So that's another, you know, shoot, that on that kind of job, that could be another $20,000-$30,000 of work, labor, material. So it's definitely ways to come at clients so they understand that, look, we're not trying to screw you over, we're trying to educate you, know where your dollars can be placed at. You know, open. I think if people be more open to open conversations and trust a little bit more, you know, I think it's hard. I think it's a trust issue. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I'm not gonna tell you what my budget is. You're trying to snatch my money.
So if I didn't know you, if I didn't know you, you pulled up. Whether you pulled up, I'm gonna tell you the tale of the two contractors. So either you're gonna pull up in the red F-150 with the bumper falling off, or you're gonna pull up in the black GMC, brand new with the paper plates. Either way, if you ask me that question, that's what's going through my head. So if I tell them my budget is 100,000, no matter what, this estimate is coming in at 100,000. But what you're saying is, the maxing out your budget is not to take your money; it's to get you the most efficient property. Will get you the most efficient product for that budget.
So a good way to look at this. So I sent, and if anybody wants to debate this, let's get it. I sent a line item bid, and it's probably like, Eric, what you think? It's like 50 line items for that Constant Street, maybe 40?
Yeah, somewhere around.
About 40 to 50 line items that specify what budgets we got set up, what we cost in each line item. So you can educate yourself. Oh, he's got the flooring budget in here for $7 a square foot. Why? Oh, it's hardwood floors. Well, we refinish. I'm not saying that's what it was. I'm just giving it, for instance, kitchen cabinet budget. Let's say big house like that, 20 grand, 30 grand. Countertop budget, 10 grand. You know, like, we're breaking it down. If they go pick out something, this is just to give them an idea on cost. But see, once they start picking out all their stuff, that price is going to regulate one way or the other. I can't control that.
They could go down if you went with laminate. But if you want to go with yellow pine with 8 coats.
So I showed them what 350 can get them.
Yeah.
And now they could show me whether they want to keep it 350. They may want to bring it to 450, depending on what they want. They may want to bring it down to 250. You know, electrical is going to be decided on how many more can lights they want to add. That's not code. You know, plumbing. Do you want 3 full bathrooms or do you want 4 full bathrooms? That dictates to cost is all dictated majorly on what the consumer wants.
Yeah.
That's what it boils down to. So it's not the contractor don't go in there and say, well, I'm just going to, you know, put a quote together magically. It's going to be everything you want it to be.
And I want to add to that. So it's based on what the consumer wants and what they have access, what resources they have access to. So I think,
and unrealistic clients are the ones that say, well, I have 100 grand, but I want to do 200 grand. And even Chuck in his truck, he going to be, you know, I mean, he only can do, I mean, I was Anthony in the truck, but, I mean, even the new guy, I mean, he's going to have so much resources. I mean by that, it's the guy that just shows up with his hammer. I mean, there's only so much he could do. And look, when you get in a 2 or 3K, I got testimonies from clients from banks that we had to bail out customers because they were already in the middle of a 2 or 3K renovation. They got an unrealistic price. They went with the most cheapest person, and the person rolled out on them. It's happened many times, and now you got a loan. The bank's like, well, ain't my problem. You got to get somebody now to finish it for whatever money you got left over. Well, if it's unrealistic, you could be stuck.
Yeah.
And we took on a couple of projects for a few banks that we were getting a lot of referrals from, where we made no money. Like we broke even just to get them through the process.
Mm-hmm.
So watch that. Don't always think, because now when you sign on that piece of paper, that work's got to be done, or you're not going to have a house to live in.
Yeah.
That's scary.
So the best way to get the most out of your experience with contracts is education, transparency, patience, and QCG. That's the best company to deal with. So how can everybody get in touch with QCG? First of all, mortgage brokers, if y'all have a 203K loan product right now, please give them a call, because if you can get him in, pair him up with the borrower, especially while they're getting their credit together, or if they need to sell another house while they find their next house, let's invest this time together while all of that is going on. Get them with a contractor so they can start getting those realistic expectations in order. So how can the buyers and the mortgage brokers get in touch with you?
Our office number is 504-800-4126. That's 504-800-4126. We're open from Monday through Friday. Phones are forwarded on the weekend. But yeah, that's our office number. We're out here in St. Rose. But look, if there's any contractor you get with, we'd love for you to give us a call. But I mean, GC's out there, man. 203K. You gotta educate yourself on the 203K. It's a great loan program. A lot of people don't know about it. I'm about to start doing a lot of publicizing about it, because it's going to give us more work. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's awesome. I mean, it's really good for consumer, and there's a lot of inventory out there right now that contractors and investors are passing up because there's not enough meat on the bones. But there's plenty of it for the consumers, and you can get your nice little house renovated. You can
big. You say little house. Big house.
All big house. Big house. Get the kitchen you want, the bathrooms you want, the floors you want. Let the bank give you all the money, attach it to your loan.
Yeah.
And look, you don't have to do the full out renovation. There's a pretty house in this little neighborhood in Avondale right now. They want $100,000 for the house. Houses in that area going for 175. So say these people accept the house for 80, mm-hmm. and say it's about 900 square foot, but that's a great starter home for maybe somebody with one child or even two. It's 3 bedrooms. You throw 30 in there and you still got mad equity.
Yeah.
You live in that first home for say 2 or 3 years. Interest rates a little higher right now. So guess what? You settle for this house. You say you go all in for 130, 135. It's really worth 170 at this given point. Hopefully it stays steady. And then you live in this house, and now 2 years from now, when you want to upgrade, now you got the equity that you pull out this house from this deal that you found on a 203K. Now you can go and make your next, for young consumers. Now that's your level up.
Yeah.
Now you go into the next house, and then hopefully do another 203K. Think like an investor. You know what I'm saying? We can teach consumers how to think like an investor, and now you got your next level of equity.
Because confirm, and mortgage brokers out there, please confirm this, but you can be a first-time home buyer after 5 years. So once you buy this first one, you qualify to be a first-time home buyer FHA loan product. You qualify for that, I believe, every 5 years. If that's wrong, please correct that in the comments so that way everybody get the correct answer. Because I'm mentioning that because 5 years, if somebody does a project with you right now, either they're a first-time home buyer or even the empty nesters right now. They've been living in this 4,000 square foot house. All the kids in college
gone.
Now they want to get a nice condo somewhere, but they don't want the condo in an as-is condition. You can still use that 203K loan product, get you a nice 1-bedroom shotgun somewhere, but trick it out to the way you want it to with this whatever it is you want. You can get it renovated using the loan. It's not just first-time home buyers. It's first-time home buyer loan products for everybody.
And folks are scared because like, oh man, I got to get a loan officer. I got to get a contractor. They're out there.
Yeah.
I mean, look, like I said, we love the work, but like, hey, there's plenty of contractors that do awesome work and 203K, and there's plenty of loan officers that know what they're doing. We know a ton of them ourselves. If you reach out to us, we can connect you. So we actually got one man. He's a phenomenal loan officer. He's
call him to get the name.
Telling y'all.
Yeah.
I mean, look, equity. Real estate agents out there, if you're listening, this ain't just a wholesaler's world. Like, you can start educating your clients if you want to try to help turn the page. Just how we can do it as a team.
Yeah.
Right now the market's tight, but we got to pivot. And the way to pivot is to think about things like this. We know the market has tons of homes that have equity built into it, that people could get into a 2 or 3K, start pushing this. You know, I mean, I think it's a great option right now.
Yeah.
I mean, if we go look at the market, it's a buyer's market. There's a lot of homes that have price reductions. Equity still there. I mean, even with these houses falling in price, we still have equity.
Yeah.
Put a couple dollars in there, give mama a kitchen.
Yeah.
You know what I
You
mean?
can do that. So July 1st, that's this Saturday, we have the Wrong Way workshop. You're not gonna be here for this.
Mm.
But all of the mistakes that I made over the past year, I'm gonna actually tell a story that I made. The one of the big mistakes with Andy. I wish you would be there for me to tell a story, but we're gonna do another one.
I'll see the video.
Yeah, and then the following Saturday, July 8th, we have the private money workshop to where you could do the strategy that he's talking about. In addition, Randy Chambers is going to talk about the different loan products that he personally has, and also how to do creative financing to where you can still get the contract you want, still get the finance you want, and still leverage the seller's equity or the seller's position to where you could get into these situations with no money down. So that's July 1st and that's July 8th. That's 2 Saturdays back to back where you get the opportunity to learn this stuff. Because right now, this is the time to really educate yourself. Because I mean, the market.
Look, everybody's a little slow. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Everybody's a little slow.
Yeah, it's a different pace right now. So
And
what you know is the new currency, like your education, your resources, your network. People like Andy and QCG team, like you need to know and build a relationship with them right now. Because I think more and more properties and opportunities are coming up in the next few months.
And look, right now, if it's not driving for investors, it's good. I mean, now for a long time, consumers didn't have an opportunity like they have now.
Right.
And everybody's clouded up by the interest rate. Stop being scared. Money's going to cost you no matter any time of the year, you know, and it might go up. You know, don't sit there and sleep on 9-10% because we've been in that world before. We've been at 15% at one time.
Yeah.
So if you're still thinking, I've heard people still getting buy down rates of like 5.75. I mean, you're still like 5, 6s, even low 7s, but
single digits.
It's yeah. I mean,
you can always refi.
Yeah, you can refi, and if you got equity,
yeah,
it's just crazy. People are sleeping on it. Like now's not the time now's the time to pivot. That's what smart people do.
Yeah.
When times change, you just don't sit there and stay the same course.
Yeah.
We got to figure out different ways and get creative. And I think right now there's a big market out there.
Yeah.
And consumers are not being educated. Instead of everybody's freaking out. Instead of freaking out, let's get smart. Let's think of some ways to and my guy Alex said the great loan officer, he came up with some of these things, and me and him are gonna talk later, and we're gonna put out some stuff. But man, I think we're gonna help some people find some cool properties.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, we're gonna go ahead. Lunch just showed up, so we got a piece out of everybody.
Take it easy.
All right.
Telling you,
That's
man.
good. I gotta rock out. Yeah, I like to hop on the call with Alex too. Because as far as loan officers, like you really gotta get people that could push these files to the finish line, man. And
Alex is one of them, man.
okay.
So we